He first captured America's attention in 2003 as a finalist on the second season of American Idol. Since then, he's won numerous awards and become a celebrated actor, educator, and activist. Now he's competing for another big prize, a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. Clay Aiken joins us now to discuss his run for the 2nd Congressional District of North Carolina and much, much more. Good to see you, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
First of all, congratulations for the announcement. You announced in February. I didn't know this was going to happen.
Well, we tried to keep it a little quiet. You know, I recognize that my opponents are able to raise money off of my back just as much as they are of their own. Well, I would say their own positives. I'm not sure they have any. But so we try to keep it quiet. It was a deliberate decision for me. I wanted to keep I took a long time. I took about a year to decide to do it.
Yeah.
And once I decided and committed to it in November, end of November to beginning of December, I wanted to make sure that I really had everything in line before we actually made a commitment and announced.
You say you took a year to deliberate on this. What were the factors that ultimately made you want to do it?
Well, that made me want to do it. Some of the factors that I had to think through were the fact that, I'm giving up a career that I've enjoyed for 11 years and really giving it up in order to do something like this. It's something, it's not the type of thing that you can go back and forth between so much. So I needed to take the time to make sure I was willing to commit to that. Also, the district it's not a blue district by any stretch.
Not at all.
And I wanted to take as much time as I possibly could to make sure that I understood what the path forward would be.
Yeah.
And so I took a lot of time studying and researching the demographics of the district, the voting patterns of the district, the areas and whatnot, to make sure that I understood what I was getting into and what it would require of me.
Yeah.
So it was a long process there. And then, around... it was always something that I was frustrated by, the current state of the game in D.C.
Yeah.
But for me, the current incumbent was part of the shutdown. She was part of voting for the shutdown. Right after the shutdown happened, she went on TV locally with quite a few other representatives from the area, and they were talking about how many of the representatives and senators had gone without their pay during that period or donated to charity, and they pushed her on that question and pushed her on it. And finally, she just shot back and said, listen, I need my paycheck. That's the bottom line. And I thought, man, that kind of tone deafness really is what frustrated me so much that I said, listen, I'm in a position to use this microphone I have, this stage that I have, this platform, to talk about things that are important to me. I've done that for 11 years. I need to use it now to talk about things that are important to people who put me here.
M. McKay Nobilette became the first out American Idol contestant this year. Looking back, do you wish you'd come out sooner and on the show?
I don't regret much of what I've done. I think I've created, I think I've done, everybody, when it comes to an issue like that, that's a path, that's a personal path for every single person. It's very different for me than it was for Neil Patrick Harris or than it is for any kid in Peoria or Cary or Sanford or wherever. It's a personal issue, and I don't second guess anyone's decision to do it when they do it.
Even your own?
No.
Okay. How about gay marriage? From a political perspective, do you support gay marriage?
Well, I think my standpoint's I've been pretty clear on it. I spoke out against the amendment in North Carolina. It's not the issue that I'm running on.
Right.
It's not why I'm in this race. It's not an issue that Congress really has any control over at this point. It's an issue that's been left to the states. When I go around the district, I don't get talked to about it by.
That's what I was curious. I wondered if you got marginalized from that. If people would frame you as a single issue candidate, whatever that single issue.
Oh no,
might be.
Certainly there are people who are trying to. I have no doubt about that. But it's not an issue that's really on the radar for most people in the 2nd District of North Carolina. It's not something that affects people's daily lives. It affects a very small percentage of this country's daily life. And it's not why I'm running. I'm running because I think people in general, all people are being ignored by their leaders, and whether it be that issue or others. But and I'm tired of being one of those folks who's ignored, but I'm also tired of seeing the people who put me here ignored as well.
The last question comes from HP blogger Brian Penny, who says, how do you feel the process of running for Congress compares to running for American Idol? How do you think the voting systems compare?
Well, there's a lot less money in American Idol.
That's true.
My primary opponent has put $700,000 of his own money almost now into the campaign.
Wow.
So I wasn't trying to buy my American Idol seat, that's for sure. And I also make the joke sometimes, and I think this relates to the culture of politics in the country anyway, that, Ruben stuttered. I didn't win Idol. Ruben stuttered beat me. But he didn't have to kick me off stage in order to do it.
Right.
He didn't have to go and try to, make me go off key or whatnot. He did his best, I did my best, and people chose who they wanted to vote for. And that's not how we do our elections nowadays.
Right.
It's not how we make laws in Washington. You know, if you own a restaurant and somebody else owns another restaurant down the street, you don't have to burn them down in order to be successful. You do your best. Unfortunately, in running for Congress, and I think those who are in Congress right now spend all their time trying to make the other side look bad instead of doing something good themselves. And that's the thing that's the major difference between the two.
So American Idol is more dignified and fair.
American Idol is more dignified and fair.
You know, I've collaborated with Big Boy on his last album, so all that's left is Andre 3000. I love him. I think he is such an incredible artist. And, you know, I got one half of Outkast. I need the other half.